this out. Ready?
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to Seasoned Readings. I'm Benjamin.
And I'm Amanda.
Welcome as we enjoy and dive into chapters 5, 6, 7, and maybe 8, maybe 9. I don't know. We have yet to see. I'm not doing that for the whole thing. It was just the intro. That was it. That's all you're getting.
That's all. I
That's all I
really
can.
love that.
Thank
That
you.
ASMR.
Oh, yeah. I was just getting real close. What's nice about this mic, anyway, I could get really close and just kind of and do a little bit of that. And my voice is a little too gravelly for that.
Oh no, it's not.
No, oh well, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I was gonna say, and I'm not an ASMR content kind of girly.
Never mind.
But what I have seen, your voice would fit just it. It's all about that, just that low register, just
Dual,
hi and welcome.
dulce. What is the
Dulcet,
word?
yes, the
Dulcet
dulcet tones.
tones. Yeah, that's what I need.
Right, well, flick the pages.
You got it.
I
That's
got it.
it.
There it is.
You did it.
Hope you
I
guys
didn't know that
enjoyed.
that's what this. But yeah, I hope that's the podcast. Like you did it.
Welcome.
Breaking out.
All right. So yes,
Yeah.
chapter, 5, 6, 7, maybe we'll throw 8 in there. I think it's just gonna depend on how much we have to say about,
Yeah.
because we're getting, again, it's a lot of info in these
And
next chapters. We're getting a dump here.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The book's taking a dump. What's happening?
It is an info dump. It
Yep.
really is.
Where
Because
we leave
now,
off? Where do we leave off?
so we left off with Feyre being escorted by a giant beast, chimera, I think, as we decided to.
I was thinking about that. I was like, what was that thing I was thinking of? And I couldn't think of it, but Manticore also came to mind.
Oh yeah.
But he's definitely not that. It's
He's
not a
not.
Manticore.
There's
No,
no
Manticore's
scorpion tail,
exactly no scorpion tail.
but
But that was something else I was thinking of. But yeah, anyway, he's being escorted through. They're going out into the forest.
yeah. So basically, she has made the choice to leave her family
Mm-hmm.
after she killed a fairy.
Fairy, which we have now established was indeed
A
a
fairy,
fairy.
yeah. The wolf that was a fairy.
Right.
So
Yeah, so then the next chapter opens up and she's there's a white horse. I don't remember if that was described in the previous chapter or not, but
no, it is. It's right there right at the beginning. It's walking out of the cottage that she lived in with her family. And her and the beast now are walking towards the tree line of the forest nearby.
which is indicative of the transition from mortal humans to Prithian,
Yes.
which is where the fairy lands. But she knows, if I remember, it's like a 2-day trip, and it was like a big deal. That was going to take a while, right? Or is that? Or do they even get to that
Yes.
part? Yeah, that might be like later chapter, but
Yeah, no, it's a long journey. That is definitely made very apparent, basically, because like she's left. I have a cat.
kidding.
We're walking towards the tree line. She's refusing to look back. Like you can tell, like this is emotional for Feyre. Like she is not. I don't know that she's entirely ready for this.
This entire time contemplating escape, like trying to figure out
Yes.
like how she can get away, thinking about her father and sisters, constantly talking about, which I get it, constantly talking about her lost mother and her promise to her mother to take care of the rest of her family, and kind of coming to terms with that.
So really, like a lot of what we are getting in chapter 5 is a lot of it's Feyre processing kind of what's happening, because
Yeah,
there isn't any dialogue. Like she's really not talking to the beast. She is just absorbing what she's seeing, and I think processing the trauma of having this beast bust in the door and basically tell her either I'm going to kill you or you can come live with me in Prithian.
right.
Like she's working through this stuff, and I think it's very like apparent, because yeah, she's talking about like maybe this is going to be a good thing because I'm going to live on his land, like
Yeah,
it's like she's trying to psych herself up and like convince herself it's a good thing.
she's trying. She's
Mhm.
trying. But eventually she does smell metal, which
Yes.
is now this is an important part of
Yes, we
the
get more
story.
answers
Yeah,
later in these chapters we're going to cover, but basically she has this overwhelming smell of metal, which is reflective of magic.
hmm She falls into a deep sleep, and and then they just wake up somewhere else, or she wakes up somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's really because this is a relatively short chapter.
Yeah,
Because yeah, it's she gets this metallic tang, is how she describes it, and then just everything fades to black for her, and then
and
basically,
that's pretty much the end of five, other than her coming back, coming
yeah, because then she
into,
just kind of comes to and realizes that it's been 2 days
yeah. Does
that
she
she's been
actually?
asleep.
And she's going some, and she's going to a manor, which basically she comes upon like this. It sounds like an estate, right? Like it's more than just a manor. It sounds like
Oh no,
it's a
it's an
whole
estate. No,
thing.
that's
Yeah.
exactly correct because that's exactly how she it describes it starting in chapter 6 is that the estate sprawled across a
Uh,
rolling green land.
yeah,
So
memory's
boom,
pretty good, I guess.
look at you nailing
Yeah.
it. Even the like actual words.
Sure. Okay, there we go. I knew it.
Yeah.
Obviously. That's yeah, so she gets there.
Before we really keep diving into like the descriptions of this estate that she's come to, what are your thoughts about the fact that she is basically gets settled on the horse. She's working through these thoughts, and then boom, she is just out, down for the count.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, chapter five was super underwhelming. Like I was just
Right.
like kind of bored with it, that the writer's like trying to put this existential thinking of like her, future, her existence, what is it going to mean with this person, and like trying to figure that stuff out, but none of it really landed for me. And so it ended up just coming through as just kind of, I don't know, just like filler,
Okay.
of what's going on. And it didn't really, I don't know, it didn't land for me. It didn't really feel as emotional as maybe it should have been. That stuff can be hard though. So it's hard to, maybe place blame or anything, but it's just kind of after the height of chapter four and all that stuff that happened, to jump into chapter five and then hear them discuss like her feelings and walking through the forest was like, you know, that high really ended quickly.
It did. I mean, it did because we went from something very high impact, and like I think this chapter is go becomes more important as we progress
Yeah.
because I think this really finishes kind of rounding out who Feyre is when this story starts. She's
Yeah.
like I think we finally have like the clearest picture of while yes, she does this stuff out of a sense of duty, she also does it because she loves her dad and her sisters. She wants to do right by her mom, who is no longer with them.
This is where I get caught up.
Okay.
Is because up to this point, other than she mentioning those things about needing to take care of her family, she has not said one like nice thing about these people. She hates them. She does
Yeah.
not like them. Doesn't even talk nice about her mom, her deceased mom. You know what I mean? Like talks about her like more interested, which I think actually comes in later chapters, but like talks about her partying and being more interested in like the um
Like the
the galas, and
debutante
yeah, like
and
and like rather than actually like being a mother to her.
right.
It's just very confounding to be like, I need to take care of these people. I love them so much, but fuck them. It's like
Right.
it's like okay, all right, sure. Like, yeah, family feelings could be weird, and
Well, and I
you can be
I do
ambivalent,
think
sure.
this is like so important, especially in like a lot of this early stuff, is that like she is so young.
It's true.
She is
And
19. Like she is so young. Her frontal
19,
cortex is not
not even
fully developed
developed.
yet. Yeah, like she's still got
Still,
like 6 years of brain development that needs to occur.
like, could still be considered a teenager, not, I
Uh,
guess, depending on your thinking and, cultures and stuff. But yeah, I guess that's a good point is, she's coming out of a phase of her life probably. And, yeah, and if I had to care for a bunch of people that were unappreciative of what I was offering, I'd probably be pretty bitter as well,
yeah. No,
So
absolutely.
I get that.
And well, and that's why I have to give her credit. I have to give SJM credit in this is that like you can absolutely kind of understand like Nesta and Elaine not wanting to be out here chopping wood and like doing these things because that's just not what their upbringing was.
They never
Um
did it. Yeah.
yeah, and so then you also can see it from Feyre's perspective though is like I've just been out hunting all day.
Hmm.
I've just killed this deer that I have now skinned and I am having to process so that we will have meat to eat through winter. I also bagged us this wolf, so now we're gonna have a little extra like nest egg going on. Like I'm trying to set us up, and I come home and you could not be bothered to chop some wood.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like, how long does it take for someone's survival instincts to kick in?
Yeah,
I mean, like, how long have they been? What was it, like 8 years,
yeah,
decade?
it's been a
Uh,
long
y-
time, 8 years, I
should,
think.
I should hope at some point in that time you would have realized like shit's not getting any easier. I really need to step up and do something. That's my thought, you know.
Yeah, no, I would
Um,
agree, and
and
I
and,
think,
and the only one that has obviously is Feyre. Um,
well, I'm gonna disagree with this point though,
okay,
because
go
I kind
ahead.
of have been ruminating on this a little bit. Because yes, I agree that like at some point you would think that these other people in the household would step up. Obviously her father does, I think, what he can, but he
Right,
is severely disabled.
right, yeah.
um so he's, I think he tries, but I think we're forgetting, and I think it's because I was very harsh on Nesta at first because I really don't like her. I still don't. I really don't like anybody still at this point.
Best character so far. Best character so
But
far.
in the previous stuff that we broke down, like Feyre mentions that, like, yeah, she came home from this hunt and she hadn't been, couldn't be bothered to chop the wood. But when she woke up the next morning, wood
She
had
did do
been
it.
chopped.
Yeah, Nesta did do it. That's
Yeah.
true.
And there wasn't like an argument about it. It was
Mm-mm.
just, so I think it's happening a little bit,
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
and I think, I just feel like these two, like her two older sisters, are just, I don't want to say stunted, but I feel like they kind of are. Is that they lived a very long portion of their life, longer than they have been poor. They were rich and they were on that like debutante kind of lifestyle, receiving this education, all of this stuff, things that Feyre did not get.
Right. Yeah, I don't
So,
know. Maybe. I just like for me, I don't know. It's hard. And maybe that's just like a different perspective. But like at some point, you would have been like, the guys, you want to survive, might need to do a little bit more around the house. You know, that's my thought anyway.
right.
Um,
Well, and I think this is the other thing that like we're not thinking about in this, is that yes, Feyre is the one who's out hunting and like processing the kills and stuff, but like who cooked that day? These are the things that I think we don't get because it's all from
sure.
Feyre's perspective.
That's true.
It's like, yes, it's a two-room cottage. There's not a lot of space happening here, but like, is it well kept?
Hmm.
You know,
Right.
are the dishes done you
Is it
know,
swept?
is it's been
Well, I would say
swept?
is her father taken care of, but I don't know, kind of hard to say. It seems like sometimes,
Are clothes being washed?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I, I'll say this, like if you really want to land the point that they're not helping very much and that they're still very much in a certain style of thinking, then SJM did that, like
Yeah.
really, maybe to the point where for me it wasn't believable, but
Mhm.
we understand the situation because of how they're depicted. So I'll give her that. It's like,
Yeah.
they're Pharaoh was the only one able to take care of them, and it shows.
It does. No, it does.
Yeah,
I think in her way of trying to protect them, she also continued to allow them to kind of slack off, even if they are doing things.
yeah,
Like, because someone's washing their clothes, someone's, um,
ostensibly.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
in theory,
I'm
someone
sure.
has
Yeah,
to be clothes. I mean, it's been 8 years. I don't think you've gone 8 years without washing your clothes.
yeah. I mean,
If you're as poor as you're saying, you're not just buying new clothes.
this is true. This is true.
Like, so someone is doing things,
Something. Yeah,
something is happening.
and maybe it's just not like, yeah, I guess if you're looking at it from Feyre's perspective, you're thinking no one's doing anything, but maybe they actually are.
Yeah.
I
And
get it.
I think it's just a thing we just have to keep in mind about Feyre, is that because she is a teenager, she is still very self-centered, and everything is kind of from her perspective and what this means for her,
Yeah.
not always what it means for everybody else.
Yeah. Okay.
So I felt like this was at a point that I didn't realize was actually being made this early,
Till chapter
until we
five.
started really breaking this down, and I've been kind of thinking on it.
I think I have a hard time believing this as a coming of age story. Not to say that's what you're saying it is, but it's starting to sound more and more like it, like this person who's, you know, uh, there's a lot of feelings, there's a big transition. It's
Mhm.
obviously like, an simile for life changes and growing. Um, I guess I have a hard time thinking about it in that manner because I know what kind of book this is and what
Right.
will eventually come of what I would assume the main character, and thinking that this 19-year-old is going to have relations with someone like put it politely to put it politely. And that's why I'm like, so like what kind of book is this? Again, I have no experience with this stuff if this is common or not, but
Right.
in my back of my mind, I'm like she's I'm gonna try and be polite a little bit here. She's down to F. We know that.
She
And
is DTF. We know
yes,
that from Isaac. Yeah.
yeah, we know that. And we know that this book is a romantic fantasy. Or I knew it was to some extent because my wife is
Yes.
obviously like feeding me information as well. So I'm like, okay, like what age is she? Like we know she's 19, but like like her mental age, like where are we at? Like is she an
Right.
adult? Like at this point, I'm like, she's 19 and an adult, like maybe kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, so I guess I'm while listening to this book, that's what I'm thinking a lot of the times is like trying to figure out like, is she established? Does she know who she is? Like, at this point in like this point in time, this kind of book, my thought is, well, then maybe she's an adult because there's going to be, sexual relations between her and I would imagine between her. This is what I'm thinking earlier, her and someone else. And I'm like,
Right.
and she is only 19. She's taking care of this family. Well, she sounds very adult to me, right? Like that. And I
No,
thought
yeah,
that
I
was the
think,
point, is to make her sound like an adult and not someone who is ambivalent, someone who is constantly contradicting and unsure, like,
well,
well, at the
and
same,
you don't
but
have to be, you can be both. And I
that's
think that's
true. And that's very, yeah. And that's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, that's not to say that she can't be wrong or even you'll be dynamic. So, I think it's just a lot of the thoughts and feelings that I'm fighting with during this thing is like trying to figure out what she is and who she is and knowing what kind of a book it is. And maybe that's kind of tainting my perspective a little bit of like what I'm expecting these characters to be and who they are.
okay. So I guess this is prompting me to ask the question then, is that knowing that it is a romance fantasy or romantasy,
Hmm.
I lean more towards it's a fantasy with some romance.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Um,
As
is
I've
at
heard.
least that's my kind of takeaway on it.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And we discussed my scale, I know previously.
Uh-huh, yeah, yeah.
Um, but does genre impact how you perceive? Like if this had ever been pitched to you as a coming of age story, because I think there are coming of age elements
Hmm.
within this. Because I throw it under fantasy, I always would say that like fantasy is such an overarching thing. Like something can be a fantasy, but also has elements of coming of age, of romance, of
Oh
enemies
yeah.
to lovers, of
Right, right,
whatever the
right, right.
trope
Might be.
is. Yes.
Yeah. I mean it definitely does to some extent kind of baits my expectations, I suppose,
Okay.
because I think the biggest part of it is this is going to be a reoccurring thing. She's 19 years old.
Mhm.
She's 19 years old. She is 19 years old. This is one of the things I have a hard time getting over with. Not to say that, 19-year-olds can or won't or don't have sex. It's obviously that's not the case, but um the like I guess figuring out when reading this, I'm kind of like taking into consideration who it's being written for and
Right.
like the kind of person like who's reading this and like and honestly probably shouldn't have. I should have tried to leave my biases at the door when so to speak when reading this. Um,
Implicit bias is a thing that we have, and
well,
but like
yeah,
recognizing that and like
and
having the discussion
I definitely did
is, I think, what
not.
matters.
Yeah, and I definitely did not beforehand. Like I was, I'm hearing about this. I think this is one of the reasons for this podcast and for me reading this book. 'Cause I'm hearing so much about this book ahead of time, and so
Yeah.
I got all these thoughts in my head about like what it is and like. the word smut gets thrown around a lot, and like what smut is,
Right.
and then what like this is in accordance to smut, and if it is smut, and then it's like, there's all this is going on, and I'm like, she's only 19 years old, but yet, but she's being, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know if I want a developed character or one that is, I don't know.
Developing.
Yes, I want something from this character, and I'm getting nothing. It's either confusing or there's not enough substance there for me to actually like Feyre and understand what's going on. I can't.
Right.
It's hard to even put into words.
Well, and I have to say is I think I that's why I think there are a lot of like while it's this fantasy, it's probably romance that they throw in their secondary. I would almost rank romance even down, probably more into third because I do think there's a lot of coming of age occurring in here. Is that yes, she did have to grow up really fast at 8 years old when her mom died, but in having to grow up so fast and just to survive, I think she lacked so much other social and emotional development because it was about survival.
Sure.
Like that, her focus was surviving and keeping her family alive. That was her focus. And so it's like why she didn't have a meaningful relationship with anybody.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't have a meaningful, as much as she loves these people because they're her family, she doesn't have a meaningful relationship with any of them, except for maybe Elaine.
Which, yeah,
Maybe.
well, yeah, and even then, I think she mentions how shallow that is. It's not that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
same thing with Isaac. Like it's this one person we know that's been a constant in her life for at least a few years.
Is this kind of a common like reoccurring thing for main characters in not just romantic books, but
Um,
fantasy in general?
I mean, like we talked about, we were both fairly familiar with Harry Potter.
Right.
The amount of growth that Harry goes through from book one through book seven
Substantial.
is substantial, as it
Yeah.
should be, because we're covering like 7 or 8 years of time.
Hmm.
So there is like supposed should be like growth.
Well, sure. You want a character to develop and grow.
Yeah.
Um, I guess like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I
I'm
think
not sure.
even
Go ahead.
well, I'm just trying to think. Like I'm trying to like think of other like fantasy. And so I think of like The Hobbit. And I think of like Bilbo at the beginning, very much just like I'm good with just like sitting here. I don't need to see the rest of the world. And then he's forced
Pushed
into this
outside of his
situation,
Yeah, pushed outside of his comfort zone into this.
this world, and realizes like, oh wow, there's so much that I've been missing. There's so much that we miss by staying in Hobbiton and staying in the Shire and not exploring the rest of this world.
Yeah.
Even just like not even having to go on like some great adventure to slay a dragon, like taking all of that out of it,
Yeah.
but just interacting with other species.
All right. Well, let's narrow it down, and then I'll say, well, what about like more romantic novels? Like, is it a common thing where the main character doesn't have a whole lot of these relationships? Like, are writers pulling out
Oh, I think
like,
there's definitely like I think it depends on the trope in the book that you're reading.
okay, yeah,
Um, obviously, like because tropes are huge within fantasy or in romance, especially
well,
because
fantasy in
it's
general, let's be honest.
I mean, truly,
All
all writing has
writing,
tropes, right?
right, right.
But I think within the romance and like smut community, at least like everything that I see on Book Talk, like the tropes are like so important to people on whether they read them or not.
They want those things to happen.
It's one of those things we want to know going in: is this enemies to lovers?
Okay.
Is this forced perspective or like forced proximity? A marriage of convenience,
Okay. Forced
age gap.
proximity, is that just like another word for like slavery kind of a
Oh
thing?
no, it's not always that. It's like
Capture.
for some like so one book, okay,
I mean,
that I
this is
read
kind of like
that's a good
forced proximity, right? No?
a little. There is I would say there is definitely a little forced proximity happening
Okay.
here because and one of the ones I think of the best is in the Dark Olympus by Katie Roberts series. There is a character who wants to make her own choices within her life. And so she marries this guy that she doesn't really like. It's this marriage, like, oh, but if we get married, he gets to do his thing, she gets to do her thing. And then in that, they end up falling in love
Right. I
and
gotcha.
wanting to be married.
Okay.
So I think it's a, so yes, there is, I think, that forced proximity that we're seeing start to be laid here, where she's given the choice: you either live with me or you die. Well, obviously, I'm gonna want to keep living, so I'll live with you.
I guess.
And then
Which
in that, we're
yeah.
gonna see emotions and feelings develop as they get to know each other
Okay.
in that way. It's why, like, I will always argue with somebody about whether Beauty and the Beast is Stockholm syndrome or not. Because especially if we were going to look at the Disney movie,
Oh,
the only thing
Disney's.
keeping her there is her word. He doesn't chain her up, he doesn't lock her up. He gives her a whole room, run of the castle.
I mean, this
He,
is, as we will see, a word is the only thing that keeps her there in the beginning,
yeah.
but we'll get there.
Yeah, no, we will get
I,
there. I
yeah.
just think it's a very important, like, kind of
Well, I have feelings
distinction.
on that too. Yeah, on well, yeah, well, Disney aside, because I have all
Right.
kinds of problems with
Oh.
their princesses and stuff like that. But
Uh-oh. You're speaking to a Disney adult.
I no, I get that. I understand, and I think Disney is I think they put stuff out that people really love.
They do.
Yeah,
Yes, back to Feyre and
she's like the whole existential.
from the rest. And even like, because like you can see it in the beginning, I love a book with a map. And they have a map of the world um at the beginning. And I'm gonna
Okay,
and so you can kind of see. So this is where she is. Teeny tiny. And this
and that shaded spot with the line, it's the hmm,
is from each other. Like these worlds do not cross,
right.
like ever. But they don't need to. I think is also the other kind of point to that is they don't really need to. But
Yeah,
so it's at the estate with this beast.
right. She wakes up and they're going into this.
They're entering
Yeah,
the gate, yeah,
yeah.
and she's realizing now she's been magicked,
Mhm. I like that.
basically.
Yeah.
I mean, because I feel like I don't like it wasn't really like I mean, I guess it could have been a spell, but we have no mechanism of how the magic occurs.
Which I have a problem with in fantasy novels. It's like magic is, or the magic
It's
use
just a thing
is,
you accept. It's
yeah,
just magic.
yeah,
There is magic. Give it the detail they need or
which is
deserve.
fine, which is
I mean,
fine.
yeah,
It's just I like it when there's a little more substance to like how they're casting or what is it, is there swirling colors? Are they dictating something, movement to it? It doesn't have to be like that, and so that's fine. Which, as we'll see in this book, is it's just easy. Apparently, I mean, they make it sound very easy. Like
well, and
you just will it and it's done. Which lends to the high fae, as we'll see. Like
yes,
there's definitely a reason for that. Yeah. So she is waking up. She's coming into the house or metal because she realizes there's still magic going on, but she doesn't see
yes.
it.
Well, she is makes a note that like where she
Oh,
just
it's
came from, it was winter and it is
right.
cold, and they're in this eternal spring.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Like they're further north, so you would think like we would be reaching like an Arctic circle, really.
Right.
And so we would get colder as she's going further north, but really it's this she's entering this world of this eternal spring,
Mhm. Yeah.
roses and ivy.
Yeah, it's beautiful,
Yes.
blooms, and we're talking lush greenery.
I want to be here, honestly.
No, it
Like
doesn't sound bad at all.
it does
No,
not
it does not sound bad. Not gonna lie, especially right now.
with
Uh,
the weather we currently handling
yeah,
here.
yeah. They eventually get into the manor. I don't remember much about them getting in.
There's a
Okay,
lot of approach. She's very weak when she arrives.
that's right. She's
Um,
starving, and then
she was always like underfed, so she was always
mm,
kind of in state of starvation. And then
so yeah, that'd do it.
yeah,
Man, I'm always hungry.
right.
2 day nap. Yeah, I'm ready
She's
to
hung,
eat.
but she's really making a point of that like there's no dungeon here. I mean, there's these beautiful sweeping staircases, giant glass doors, many gardens just in the like manor
It,
looking.
it's paradise.
It's paradise.
It's
It
a
is a
paradise.
paradise.
Yeah.
And the dining room.
Okay.
and she sees the food.
They make it sound delicious.
It
Like
does.
there's a little bit of everything, kind of deal going on. I was afraid to eat any of it because
But we even get to that portion.
okay.
So she, at this point, is still by this beast. This beast is just kind of pulling her along, brings her into this dining room. The beast is said to plop into a chair, and in a flash of light is a golden haired man.
Does it go on to describe the golden hair man?
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. Describe. Can you read just a little bit more?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
For his shock,
Her world has been shattered.
absolutely. She stifles, says,
Uh-huh.
because she was just like, hold on. This
And then
beast is a man, but not just any man. He is high fae.
get off.
Start. But he is described, at least what I could see of his face, seemed young. His nose, cheeks, and brows were exquisite golden mask embedded with emeralds shaped like whirls of leaves. Shocks us up to just being like, oh, you're high fae, so this
Right.
is fashion. It is
Right. Yeah.
fashion.
This fashion. Well, sure.
This
I
is
mean,
fashion.
whatever. You don't know. You're in a strange place. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Yes, and then the only thing that like was left the same between human form and beast form is his eyes,
Mm-hmm.
jaw and mouth for her to see.
Strong jaw. Okay.
Yes,
Anything
and
else?
mouth, a strong,
And,
strong jaw
and
and
mouth.
mouth. Which I think is interesting.
Yeah, for a couple different reasons, but yeah.
Yes, and then the mouth is, gets kind of tightened into a thin line. Basically, he is now demanding that she eats. You need to
Mm-hmm.
eat something. It's been too long.
I wish I had the book in front of me because there's another character that we're going to be introduced to. How descriptions between the two vary.
Yes,
We're talking about the Beast Man, the
yes,
Beast.
the beast. That's
It
all
is
we
very.
still know is he was a beast.
He's often described as muscly
Yes.
and shapely, and I don't remember exactly. It's
I
not very
just like
often I
I love
describe a
that.
man. Trying. She's constantly like noticing, nay, admiring, it would seem, his muscles, size.
I think this is the taste, like the first taste. Like Feyre is horny.
And,
She is
and I have been
just.
waiting this comment because like it was basically, I mean,
Oh yeah, no,
granted,
this is like this
okay, all
par
right.
for the course. Like the minute I started getting into these sections, I was like, okay, okay, I see
So
where
we
we're going.
know, yeah. So this dude's just gonna fuck.
Oh yeah.
Basically, like okay, so like you kind of know. I mean, you kind of know without this,
Once you realize
the
he is a
counter.
man in a beast form,
It's
it's
dead
like, oh,
done.
okay, okay.
Okay.
So this is our male vampire.
Okay.
Okay, here
Okay.
we go.
It cracks me up because even as we continue, we'll be shortly introduced to another character.
Yes,
To well, a couple of them.
yes.
Um, and when she describes him, the initial description, and then she's like, she doesn't describe him any longer.
No,
Like
she does. Yeah, she really gives just like this brief
it's like
description.
here's what this guy
Uh-huh.
looks like. Okay, back to this guy, the beast. Oh yeah, he's got some
Well,
biceps
and
on
that's
this.
where this is. Let's paint the picture. We don't know
Yeah,
his name
okay.
yet.
You're right, you're right.
Lapice here.
Let's not get too sidetracked. Okay.
Right. So he's blonde. He's
Mm-hmm.
well golden haired. Is it's
Golden hair.
specifically it's golden haired.
Because it kind of matches
It does. It's a similar
his
color to
fur,
pelt. Yeah,
pelt, yeah, or whatever it
light
would be.
golden hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see.
Wearing a mask.
He's wearing a half mask,
Mm-hmm.
so he's Batman.
Batman. Very tasteful Batman, very colorful.
Yeah, we just don't know. We just know there's a gold mask here covering all of this. Strong jaw.
Strong jaw,
Strong jaw.
pressed
He is,
lips pressed into like a fine line.
yeah.
I don't know how you do that.
Unlike the elegance of his mask, he's wearing a dark green tunic. He was very plain, accented only with leather across his broad chest. So he's
Broad
big guy. He's
chest.
a broad chested
Hmm?
man. Uh-huh.
Like if you didn't know at this point, anyway, yeah, we'll keep going.
Homie's hot, is what
Yeah,
she's saying.
SJM does not describe anyone else in this manner.
The table. She is still just like not
Standing, I
really
think she's
just
standing there, right? Yeah.
yeah, and he literally finally says two words to her, sit and eat.
Mm-hmm.
She even describes his hands, waving a broad hand. Like we are wow, like even his hands are getting a description. He's got
Raise
big
the
hands.
thirst level. What's it at now?
Oh, it's I
At
think it's
least
like a
one.
solid like 1.5.
Okay, and this, from a scale of 0 to intercourse, it's like a 1 or a 2, something
Well,
like
I mean, I
somewhere in
guess
there.
so is intercourse 10 or is it 5? Like where's our numeric scale here?
No, you can't put a numeric scale on love. Come on,
Oh, well, that's fair.
or
Let's see. So
Bone
yeah, so
Town. There you go. That could be the
and then
top.
he right behind him. And he's very much like, are you gonna faint? You need to sit and eat.
Yeah,
And
you're going
she's
to
very
yeah.
much like
Does not
And
care. She's refused to eat because she's afraid of it.
that's when she finally says that it's not safe for humans.
Yeah,
And his response is to immediately laugh at her.
that's right. I forgot
And
about that.
yeah, so he not only does he like laugh at her, but she describes the laugh as that it being more feral than anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's a feral. I don't know how you
Dude,
laugh ferally.
I it's everything's feral with this dude. It's like
Well,
his
that's true.
toenails were kind of feral. It's like
Right, the giant claws undoubtedly still lurked beneath the surface.
it's
Oh yeah, okay.
like all
Are you
right,
are
Pharaoh,
you
I
into
got
that
you.
Feyre?
Yeah, it's
Like,
like, all right. Before chapter 5, I was confused on who Pharaoh was. Clear picture.
oh yeah, no, we know who we know what's going on. She is thirsty for this guy.
So okay.
Um,
Anyway, this is relatively common though with these types of books.
oh yeah.
Okay.
All
I
of
just
this is like for the course, man.
okay, like how quickly it came on, how quickly
Oh
it
yeah,
went.
no, the minute we meet the love interest, it's very much like this.
You know it. There is no question like these two are gonna go.
Or at least you're gonna
You know.
hope they are.
Okay. Well,
You're
okay,
gonna
yeah, yeah,
want
yeah,
them
yeah.
to.
I got you. All right.
It's and they're always these most beautiful men ever.
Oh, sure. That part I get. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
But
So
sure.
there's some more between them, basically, where he's telling her he also has very strange green eyes.
Mm.
Clock that one too.
Hmm.
And the way he looks at her is as though he can memorable, fully clothed with this man.
Beast pops in your door,
Yes.
busts in your door. Beast takes you to
Chimera busts in my
Chimera,
door.
puts you on a white horse, basically drags your ass to some
Yeah.
fairy land. You're already lusting after this thing. The
You're
dude
like,
that
yeah,
just busted down your door and you killed, I think he calls him a friend at this point, right? He's
yeah,
like
he killed his friend. Yeah.
killed his friend. All
This
right,
tracks.
yeah, okay.
Oh, this would perfect sense.
All right, cool. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Me too, obviously. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
dude
You
turns
love
me
him.
on, let's be honest.
I mean, if he doesn't, there's something wrong. You're not human.
Absolutely. Can I just say, I keep getting this like Fabio looking motherfucker in my head every time we talk about him. Am I wrong? I mean, like, I know Fabio kind of like the old.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know how old he is, but he's
Well, he's not a.
not attractive
Oh no, he's very
person.
much probably the personification of like bodice terrors that I read
Oh,
at 16.
oh, really? Okay.
Like, because that was like the thing was he was a cover model for romance novel. No,
I mean,
well, it's not just that.
okay.
It's also that like I don't know how long this man his hair is
That's okay.
either. We have no. I know he's got a strong mouth, so as far as I'm concerned, he's
Chiseled,
bald, but chiseled.
chiseled muscles that can detect my
Right.
minds. But he's
Yes.
bald. He's bald.
He could be bald. Obviously, he has hair, but like how
Yeah,
much
yeah,
hair?
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
We don't know. We don't know.
We have no idea.
No.
Is he like a super hairy guy?
You just like
And is
imagine like just chiseled chin, just like whipped ass arms and chest, and he's just got like this bald spot with like little those pricklies on the sides.
yeah, right.
Like,
That's how she. Is it like a Gaston, like where
and
he
that
talks about like by he talks about his chest hair? Like, is
you
that how
just
she knows that he's golden haired because his chest hair?
you just brought up one of my favorite characters in
Oh
Disney,
yeah, he's the best.
Gaston. Oh my God, I love to hate that guy so much. Oh,
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast for
it
another day.
is.
Is the
Oh
love of
man,
Gaston, but Gaston is
Gaston.
hot.
Yeah, all right. I guess he's got a
I mean,
braided. I watched it recently. He's got a braided ponytail, or yeah, like a
yeah.
braided thing going on.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. I think he should just let
Live
that
action or
fucker
animated?
flow. Oh, the animated one. I have seen the live
Okay.
action one, but
Because
no,
well, but either way, like we're
sure.
let him tap it, like well, at least once.
Just like,
You
all
know,
right, man, you should,
like
yeah, sure.
marriage material. No, I don't know that you marry Gaston, but you definitely you.
He's sleazing the
But
world.
yeah, but like
You just like just give it a
that's why you don't
try.
marry her. But he's gonna be a good lay.
If you say so. I don't know, man. I don't know.
He is
There's
well
this.
experienced.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
Like this
All right.
man, he does.
All
Yeah.
right.
Oh no, yeah.
Gaston.
No, Gaston's hot.
I'll think about it.
Smash or pass. Smash.
Total smash. Total
yeah.
smash. All right, Gaston. I am
Yeah.
thinking about him in new ways that I
Well,
have
if you
never
never
thought
know how to
of.
help you.
It's weird. I don't know why. I'm not
Well,
sure.
and then it's like if we go beast, like the beast prince form or
No,
beast
no,
form.
no. Yeah, beast form.
Yeah.
Beast form.
That's
I mean,
a
everyone
little
feels that way, right?
Prince Adam is very boring, yes.
Is that his?
Derek White man.
Yeah, no, beast form.
Beast form,
Yeah.
absolutely. Unless
Okay.
it's live action.
I don't really remember live action too
Well, it
much.
was Luke Evans as Gaston, and he's always a smash.
Okay. That's yeah, all right. I
But
don't
the
for some
Beast has
reason
more
I don't
depth in the live action.
physically or mentally.
Both.
Oh, okay. All right.
I like the live action Beauty and the Beast. I think it is one of the superior live action remakes they've done.
Okay. I saw it, I once, and compared to probably the, I don't know, a gazillion times I've seen the animated
Right.
one. All right. So anyway, we're establishing that this beast dude is indeed he is smashable.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Like Feyre, in your time talking about the food, just jump on that.
Just yeah,
Just sit
like
down on him. Let's get
just
it
sit
done.
down and I mean, I'm not even saying climb on his lap yet,
Okay. Okay.
but
All right.
like, well, we don't know each other yet. Like, she is shocked right now. He
Okay.
just
All
turned
right.
into a man. Like, let us take a minute, have a glass of wine, eat some food, get some sustenance.
Get your strength back.
Right,
Okay. All right.
right.
Sure.
And then we have a stranger who walks in.
Yes. Something else does happen beyond this.
Stranger walks in and immediately, but he is red haired and finely dressed.
And we're also wearing a mask
Also, he too wore a mask.
of a different kind of
It's of a
a
fox.
what they discuss other than
How she killed Andress, who was the
yes.
wolf that she killed.
Yes, which we found out we now find out was and their friend Andros, however it's pronounced.
I said Andress. That was how it appears to me is
It looks
Andras.
that's how it looks to me. I
Andress.
think in the read Andros, but definitely looks and
Another cat. Sorry.
I'm surprised mine hasn't come around. I'm not tempting fate.
Right.
Yeah, so he comes in, he's pretty upset. Does he even
Yes.
notice her right
He
away? I
does
can't
not notice
remember.
her. Because she
Yeah,
still has not sat down at this table.
right. She's
So
still cowering in the
the
sort of in the
corner,
yeah in
yeah.
the corner.
Haired stranger are talking back and forth of now he also has muscled arms.
Oh, okay.
He
I
does.
do not
How the
remember that
stranger
conversation.
demanded, his knuckles white as he gripped his muscled arms. But at his body, but not a
A
ton.
lot. We got to establish that like all these Fey dudes are just pretty
They're
muscly, muscly.
stacked.
Right, all of them.
Just swole.
As if it would, if oh,
I
God,
know.
okay.
Well, it probably is if you're fairy. If you're fae, like you
Just
could probably
pretend,
just
just
like
think about it. Just like
glamour people into making you them think you look.
right? I'm just gonna will muscles into my body. Oh, look, there I am. I'm fucking
Yeah,
loaded.
right. Yeah. They're discussing how he killed her. It was an ash arrow. So all of this stuff is kind of just getting
Rehashed
yes.
for the third time.
And
Yeah.
then immortal is this can't be. There's no way. His mask was bronze, fashioned his features, again concealing the lower half of his face. But he had a wicked slashing scar from his brow down to his jaw, and the mask does not hide that he has a missing eye.
I always like forget that, but yeah, he
Right.
is.
So he has one brown eye.
The other one is, I believe, some kind of metal.
Yes. Yeah, the gold. Who apparently he is very animal. Like they do because she talks about like how his
Constant
claws kind of come in and
growling, constant. It's
yes.
never like he's, upset he's growling again or this feral voice comes through. Yeah, always.
Yeah, always
Very much a beast, even in
yes.
human form, so to
Our
speak.
stranger we do get he is very long and it is very red. He is ginger, like
Nice toner,
yeah.
skin. I don't know if she
They
goes
don't
in.
ever there. I don't know that there. At least at this point, there has
Right.
been zero descriptors of like the color of their skin,
Yeah.
like
Which whatever.
how.
Good
I
on
mean,
her.
descriptors. That's an eye,
Muscles. Yeah.
muscles, eye. So East has green eyes and golden hair. The stranger has red hair and brown eyes, which I thought was an interesting combination.
Think about that.
So yeah, again, continuing, and now our redhead.
Finally. And do we get his name yet?
Not we're about to.
Okay.
He is basically like interrogator, like, oh, did you enjoy killing him?
That's right. Yeah.
Like he's
pissed. Oh, he is very
pissed.
upset. He is he is not happy.
And then our golden haired friend kind of pushes him off and calls his name, and this is Lucian.
Mm-hmm. I called him, Lucian.
Lucian was what I went with as well.
Yeah.
So we'll stick with Lucian.
Also my favorite character. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh my God, he is so.
And these two. If we can start discussing this, I'm shipping Feyre and Lucian.
Oh, you want Feyre and Lucian? So at this point,
anyway, but we're not getting ahead of ourselves.
But if we're gonna announce the ships at this point, I choose two beautiful men. Why do we have to pick one or the other?
Okay, like I do not. Sure, all right, yeah, that's fine. Do it. Do your thing. I do not find the beast. I root because we'll get there. Interesting at all.
Where I could find him more interesting the further we progress.
Well, sure, but even
into the book, but that's. I mean, sad. I also don't find Feyre all that interesting. Honestly, at this point, Lucian is the one I'm interested in.
he's just anyway.
Yeah.
We'll learn more why.
So they're kind of just talking about her almost as though she's not there, even though she is. Like she's standing there in front of them.
Hmm.
I don't think she's yet to sit still.
Mm-mm. I don't think she ever
Uh,
does the first time she's there, does she?
I don't think
In
so.
the dining area that they're in for them to all meet up. Um,
Yeah, so there's just a little more talk. Basically, Lucian is told that he needs to. She immediately apologizes to Feyre. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's very much like, well, excuse me, kind of a thing. Like,
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And then basically we're introduced to our next character, which is Alice,
Yeah,
um, who is a servant to the Beast, in his estate. She's described as being a rotund,
ton.
brown-haired woman, bird mask. And she's the one who kind of grabs her and is like, "I'll, let's go upstairs. We're gonna take you to your room. We're gonna get you a bath, get you some fresh clothes."
The I'm trying to make the Beauty and the Beast equivalent. Potts does well, yeah. Mrs. Potts, want some tea? Come on in,
Right,
and
like she's immediately like there,
except
and that's
Mrs. Potts,
Alice.
except Potts is
I
much
mean,
more friendly.
oh yeah,
But
Alice,
well,
none of really friendly.
no, it comes through that she's human, and that's kindly to humans, it would seem. And I think they mention it
Well,
here and there as well.
because she is human, I think there is definitely how that's how. Uh, but I think it all killed one of them, and someone who was also probably high fae, we can assume, who was very close to Lucian and our beast.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, I don't know. I audacious to think people are gonna like you after they know that you killed somebody that to them.
I think it's kind of
Like,
audacious to think you're gonna bone the dude that you killed his friend, but
well,
she's already feeling it, man.
I mean, even
She's
if she
feeling
doesn't,
it.
she's feeling it. She wants it. Even, I
Yes.
mean, whether it's actually,
Yeah,
if it
yeah, yeah.
happens,
See, like at this point in the book, I was like, okay, it's happening because
well, yeah.
I'm not familiar with these books. I was just like, well, that's how it works, right? They kind of like, it's
Mhm.
there's the couple or whatever you want to call them, and they do the thing.
Right.
Anyway,
They
yeah,
do the
so
thing.
they do the thing. Yeah, so she's getting kind of a lot of pushback from everybody, for
Yeah.
obvious reasons and stuff like that.
Now we kind of just get more into just kind of descriptors, kind of it's a lot of like internal
Model,
dialogue as
yeah,
she's just like noticing just how beautiful this, manor house is, how it is.
just how peaceful like place. It's just like
Yep.
a complete divergence from her.
Oh yeah, she talks about how the bedroom that they put her in is larger than their entire cottage.
Yeah. So eventually, I don't know, they do the thing. They like the Belle thing from Beauty and the Beast. They wash her up, get her
Yes.
cleaned up, kind of a thing, bathe her, get her.
Hmm.
They try and put her in a dress, I
They
think.
do. Alice immediately tries to put her in a dress
Uh,
with this, right?
yeah. So then later, I'm looking at these notes. She leaves, comes back with pants and a tunic.
Yep, something a little more comfortable for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some conversation back and forth between her and Alice. It's kind of where you start to like Alice a little bit because she kind of just noticed she's like, man, like you're so thin stuff, and it's like, well, it's winter down where I'm from, and we're
Yeah.
obviously haven't had a lot to eat. Alice gives her some interesting advice. She should just keep her mouth shut and her ears open. I think it's interesting that Alice is like, you need to pay attention. Spoiler alert, she doesn't.
No. I've called it the Harry Potter conundrum. Do everything you're told not to do, and then somehow
Yes.
things will turn out well for you.
Yep. Mhm. Yeah.
It's like, probably the worst thing you want to teach your children, actually. But
It's
uh,
right.
that's
I mean, there are
my
times
wife
to
is,
buck authority,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and there are
absolutely.
absolutely times when, like, you
It,
know,
it just so happens
toilet paper the neighbor's house. It's fine.
it's
Like,
probably all right.
you're not a criminal. You're fine.
Right. It's just it's funny because we always talk when she was reading the books, she read them a lot later than I did, and she would always come back and she's like, he's just doing whatever he wants. And it's like he should not be doing these things, and
Right.
people are just letting him do it. And I'm like, I love some of the memes too, and it's like Dumbledore is like, Harry Potter, how could you? 500 points to Gryffindor.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, okay, wait, did I do a bad
Well, but
thing or a good thing?
that's a whole other discussion about
Sure.
Dumbledore setting up these children for slaughter.
And
Like,
that's yeah, well, yes, that's true. That is true that. How does she get back down? I think in chapter 7, somehow she gets back down to dinner
so
again. I don't
that's
remember how
how
that
it
happens.
ends. Is basically she's had her conversations with Alice a little bit. She knows a little bit more about like Andrus and like kind of how like people are going to be upset about it, that he's gone. Alice seems very ambivalent towards Andrus, basically saying that he was good at his job, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really seem to have any love loss towards him.
We don't get a lot about him
No, but we do
ever,
know that
really, I
for
think.
Lucian,
He was a
this
good friend.
is,
A big
yeah,
deal. Yeah.
this was a big deal, and that Lucian needs someone snapping at him.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like,
Because
he needs to be put in his
Alice,
place sometimes.
what is
Yeah.
she like? Oh, scoffs or kind of like,
Yeah.
does a brief laugh when she hears how she talked or how Lucian talked to her or something like
Yeah.
that, or and how like they went how they whatever back and forth they had, she kind of like
Yeah.
is a stand up to him.
Right. Basically, you have the courage in you. You need to just tell him what's what,
Tell him
is
what's
what
what.
she
Tell
tells
him
him.
what's
And
up.
I love that. I'm like, okay.
Hmm.
After that, they finished up with her hair and she opened the door to the hallway to leave her room. And so then, and that ends chapter 6. And then we get to chapter 7, which is
Yeah.
chapter
Okay.
7 is when she then comes back into the dining room with Alice. She sees her golden haired High Fae and Lucian are lounging at the table.
Always
Um,
lounging, my dude.
they are always just like kicking it, man.
Dude, that I'm hip to that. Let me tell you. Okay.
Right.
Anyway.
No, no, they're no longer eating. They're just sipping from their gold goblets. And so then she's also just kind of looking at like just like how wealthy they are.
Does she describe our beast again? I don't know if she does at this
No, it's
point.
more about
Okay.
herself because she's now like talking about the fact that Nesta had always compared her to a half wild beast. She has no manners, she has nothing. And she's now like who are extremely wealthy,
Hmm.
like beyond
Beyond wealth.
like beyond anything she would couldn't even imagine. Like literally she talks about like their goblets are made of real gold.
Oh yeah, how she could sell
Yeah.
just one plate because they're gold, even
Yes.
their cutlery and dining ware is gold too, I think. And
Yeah.
she could live for the rest of her life just selling one of those plates, I think she
Yep.
says. Yeah.
She's hesitant again about the food, and is reminded by our beast that the food is safe for her to eat. This is when we finally get his name.
Okay.
So Lucian finally looks over at him,
And introduce.
is sitting there along the length of the table, and she goes, I told you, Tamlin, your skills with females have definitely been recent decades. So he is immediately just ball busting our beast.
Yeah, I love it.
And is like,
It's just
sir,
like,
you are
dude,
not
you
smooth.
you still don't have it, man.
You
Come
don't. You
on.
have no game.
Like, how long have
There
you
is
been
no
alive?
risk.
Yeah. He just takes it, I think. I don't even think
Yeah.
Tamlin even, he's just
He
like,
kind of glowers at him a little bit.
yeah, you're right. Still
That's
suck. But
you're not
yeah,
wrong, but I like
right.
it.
Right, right. But we finally get his name,
Yes,
Tamlin, which
Tamlin.
I feel bad, but I always want to call him Tamarind.
Tamarind.
Sometimes it's what's there's like the what are those? Hold on,
My phone.
Tamlin.
I was texting with one of my best friends about it because she was like knew I was going to read it, but
Uh-huh.
she's like, I don't want any part to do with you and Ben talking about it. But tampon. So we kind of just don't even correct it anymore. Our poor Tamlin.
That is perfect. That is
Right.
perfect. That is perfect. That is so
Because
perfect.
he has about as much depth. At least
Yes.
at this point, like
At
there
this
is
point and in the
nothing to
foreseeable, it's
he's
about it.
muscles and golden hair. Earl.
A feral tampon.
Wow, that's a
Therefore,
right. Well,
descriptive
and this is
images.
when Feyre like she spirals. You've got Rusty and
Yeah,
22, 23 years old, but
yeah. I
then
think
she's
she
like,
describes him around twenties, maybe late 20s or something like that. But yeah.
yeah, like he does look much older than me.
Hmm.
But because he's immortal, he could be hundreds or thousands of years old.
Years old. Yeah. Hundreds or thousands. And we find out more later how old they actually are. But at this point, I know she does the next few chapters. She's like kind of interrogating them on not interrogating, asking them questions and stuff. And it's like hard to remember when she gets answers and doesn't. But
Right.
yeah, we don't really know how old he is, other than
No.
pretty old.
Yeah.
What does Lucian say? Is that in the past, how like decades, he says,
Decades. Yeah.
which I
In
think
recent
is
decades.
a
Yeah.
recent, yeah, which makes you like, why didn't he say centuries or why didn't he say millennia? Why do you say decades? So it
Well,
makes
because I mean,
he
it helps, I think, set something up here.
It does, yeah. I didn't think about it at the time, but like,
Yeah, and so then yeah, there's more conversation. Lucian is savage. Like
oh, he is brutal. Yeah.
he gives nothing up because he immediately was like, "Well, you don't look half bad now that you've been washed and clothed." Like, "Oh, look at you. You're actually kind of
Yeah.
pretty, but you're like not bad."
Kind of okay. Good for you.
Right.
He's a dick. I mean, just right off.
God, and I love
Just
it though.
oh no, yeah, absolutely.
I don't even see it as so much like that he's a dick, as he's just like he has no qualms about hurting her feelings. He's just like, well, I'm glad you got that. You look actually pretty good now. Eh,
Playing, but with an edge. He does it
right.
with an edge, for sure.
Relationship that you kind of see here
Yeah, I agree with you for
a little
sure.
bit.
It's a good dynamic.
Because like they're talking about, well, the dress would have been prettier. And she's like, I don't like dresses. And he's asking her, like, Lucian's asking her, like, well, why don't you like dresses?
Hmm.
And Tamlin immediately just jumps in, well, it's easier to kill people in pants. I'm just like, wow,
Like, yeah.
you're not wrong.
No, well, it's
You're
true.
not wrong.
And I think she goes on to say something about like trying to escape as well. She's constantly, which I mean, sure,
Mhm.
other than you keep also saying that you'll get to that. But yeah, she one of the reasons she doesn't want to wear a dress is because she could not run far in a dress, she knows.
Yes. So then
Um,
he, like, again, she is not in any way making any moves to eat food
right.
or do anything. And so Tamlin just finally takes, and even in the making up a plate for her that he does,
He
he is
stands up and
completely
go.
described as a beast and feral. Like she talks about just each move is smooth and lethal. He is a predator.
Are swift
Yeah.
but deft and just like
Yeah.
silent, moving, stalking. A lot of rambling.
Yeah.
Um,
And then this is who she is she's immediately like, I can serve myself. I don't need you. She's just gotta like get that dig in there. Like, I am
yeah.
strong and independent. I don't need you.
Yeah, yeah. Which I'm like, it's actually some character, so I'm glad she's doing some,
Yeah.
doing saying something. She has that spice that's, it's like I got this. Like, okay, like thank
And
you.
yeah, and then that's when I love that he turns it around on her too, and immediately is like, it's an honor to be served by me. So just realize
Realize what I just did.
exactly. This is an honor
Uh-huh.
that I am bestowing upon you. And then yeah, I think it's just like she's to finally, they're just kind of talking about like your high nobility. They're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
All three of them, really.
Yeah. Questioning, talking,
This thing is
restricted.
based
Do whatever
right.
you
Like
want.
you're, and she's shocked that
Yeah.
she's not being considered his slave. He's like, I don't keep slaves.
So this is like kind of reoccurring thing. She's seeing herself as a slave or a captor, and he's, because she's confused. I'm believing all of that. And he's constantly have to reassure her, like, no, like that's not what I do here. I don't keep slaves. I don't have slaves. Like the people here are free. They stay here of their own will, like, and I keep getting this thing of like these post plantation like images of like, and I know this is getting a little ahead of myself because we do talk fairies did keep human slaves.
Right.
And they keep talking about how like, that's not who I am. And I'm like, it sounds very familiar, with like, with our own history and stuff. And I was like, is that she's like trying to make that because
I'm not sure. Honestly, I mean, I feel like we might be digging a little bit deep, but knowing because of just like our history within, being US
sure,
based, like I
sure,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
pretty obvious. Like we are, we both born and raised here,
yeah, yeah.
like
It was fascinating to like hear it in the story and in the context. And if it was just like one or two
right.
times, I wouldn't have thought much of it. But then I was like, well, maybe she is trying to like make some ties into the story, as she continues. And I was like,
Right. There definitely
reviewing
is like
there.
a social commentary that you can take from it in the fact that like yeah, he's very much like they're, they aren't slaves. It does seem like Alice is happy. She like, like we find out later on why everybody is wearing masks,
Yeah.
and like so a lot of this stuff is like more to come.
Well,
Um
and it's not just that, but yeah, you're right. But Tamlin also is very much like driving home the point that, you know, that's not what he does, and we find out why later as well. But
right.
I just found that kind of striking as I was reading through this story because I did not expect something.
Hmm.
like that. Like I was like, is this some kind of social commentary? I'm like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
was
mean,
impressed either way because I was like, this is
right.
interesting. Yeah.
Even if it's not intentional, it's there. And so
Mhm.
there's something to discuss in that. It adds to the depth of the world that we're building here.
Yeah. And I like that. I thought that was cool.
He's asking her if she has
What,
because
yeah,
she's
what she,
interests.
she's like,
Nah.
no, nope.
It's just so human. Yeah.
Yeah, that, and it's like, other than like killing Faye, do you have anything
Right.
you like to do? And she thinks about painting. Like I think she goes down a rabbit hole of like how she likes to paint. And she used to,
No, and at this point she doesn't. So
oh
like
no,
it
she,
tells them no. But in
yeah,
her
yeah.
like she is a little bit in her internal like monologue where she says that no, I was kind of lying. That's not entirely true.
Hmm.
But she just didn't want to talk about painting to him at this moment. That's it. So she
Gotcha.
mentions
Okay.
the painting, which we
That's
have
all.
seen a little bit from her already because she talks about it a little bit
Yeah, her
in the
sister
first
buying her
four.
paints and
Yeah.
painting little bits around the house.
Yep, exactly. So they make fun of her humanness, and
Mm.
he
A lot.
goes, "Do whatever you want to do with your time. Just stay out of trouble." I like that. That my one rule for you: stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
And this is when
In
she
this world you
really
know
like,
nothing about. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
just stay out of trouble. Just don't do
you
anything.
don't have any idea about the ins and outs of the workings of this world. Just
The laws, regulations, rules, nothing. Just stay out of trouble.
very, very Tamerlan. Very
It is
Tamerlan.
so very Tamlin.
Yeah.
And that's when she's like, "No, you really actually mean for me to be here forever." And
And then
he's like, "Yeah, I don't make the rules." And this is when I do not like Feyre because my family's starving.
yeah.
Like please let me. There has to be a loophole, another way for me to atone for the death of
Right.
Andress.
I get pull in the beginning, and so she's like, "Oh, maybe there's another loophole."
Oh, can we exploit it in a different way?
Yeah, yeah.
Can we pretend like the cottage that I used to live in with my family and the woods where I hunt was part of your land? Like it's like she's begging for this kind
She's
of
trying. She's trying so hard, and
yes.
that feels very immature. God knows, in most situation, all of us would be, fighting for our lives and trying to figure out ways out of a situation where we don't, a horrible situation. I get that. I just don't think it really does for it as much as it's talked about in the book. Do in that situation, kind of a thing. Just doesn't make for the best reading, I think.
No, well, and so immediately when she's just like, I'm doing this to atone. So the minute she uses the term that she is here to atone for the death of Andress, Lucian is set off. Like he is so angry. And he starts just peppering her with questions. How did you kill him? Was it a bloody fight or was it cold blooded murder? And she's kind of not studying and goes, I shot him with an ash arrow and then an ordinary arrow through his eye, and he didn't put up a man telling her, "You killed him anyway, and then you
Mhm.
skinned him." Like he is angry and he is
Yeah.
rubbing her face in all of this, like,
I remember that part. I do remember that part because I remember
you are
thinking that
cold blooded.
skinned him. It's like cringe moment of like, oh yeah, that happened. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I did that. That did happen.
And then Tamlin steps in and basically is like, we don't want to hear details. We're done with this conversation.
Yeah,
Which then again, Feyre just goes right back to pleading. They won't last a month. How do you expect me to do this? You don't know what it's like to be hungry. And that's when Tamlin finally reveals to her, live, they are well cared for. I love that he does this. He questions her attitude about all of this. And he looks at her and he says, You think so low of fairies.
you
You
think we're
really think
so?
I'd take their only source of income and nourishment? Like you think I am that cruel? And I think that's interesting. I think we see a lot about Tamlin in that.
There's parts that I like, and I think it's a reveal that he has other motives. But it is a pivotal point where we see like he's not just all mean and teeth,
Right.
whatever. It is an important part. He's trying. He's attempting to make this situation better, and feel comfortable or just secure, maybe looking for it, but he's trying to not accepting of it, more or less.
Well, right.
Um,
And so that's when we get it again and more into this kind of back and forth between what Feyre thinks she knows of fairies and the high fae, and what she actually knows,
just
and they will be taken care of.
mhm. He doesn't
And
describe how,
he
which
doesn't say anything. Yeah, no, just
because and does she mention her mother's promise at this point? I don't remember if that happened. I don't think that comes yet.
let me scan it very quickly.
I'm looking over these notes and I don't see it in here
No, I
either.
don't think she so much mentions it And so she asked him, well, why didn't you tell me when we were leaving that they were going to be taken care of? And he's like, would you believe me now that I'm telling you this? That yes, I'll sing I possess.
Hmm.
That's when she goes, well, why should I trust a word you say? You're all masters of spinning your truths to your own advantage. And he's
And
assaulted me in my own home.
I bring you in. I treat you like this, and this is how you repay
Right.
me.
But it's true. And like,
Uh-huh.
and immediately, and her feet, and he shut because
Hmm.
it's like and he's like,
Nope.
just stop. Whatever you're
Yeah.
thinking about, just stop.
You do not realize, you don't realize the league that you're in. Uh,
No, no,
is that when he like magically sits her down? Is
he
that what
does.
happens? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because then she went still as the tang of magic seared her nose. So then she
Metal
smells that
smell.
metallic smell
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
and is forced to sit down. And he tells her, I'm going to warn you once and only once. I don't care if you go live somewhere else in Prithian, but if you cross the wall, if you flee, your family will no longer be cared for. So you have to stay in Prithian. And as long as you stay here, your family will be taken care of.
And she takes it as truth. She's under the impression they can't lie
She is.
because that is one of the
The legends that has been
legends.
shared with her.
Yes, that they cannot lie. Well, then he must be telling the truth.
Yep.
I mean, she believes them to be bending the truth, but never to actually be
Lie.
outright lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she definitely like appears to me like when the way she talks about it is it makes me think of the stories of the jinn and like genies, but mainly the jinn, and that is that they will grant you your wish, but you have to be specific.
Yeah. They're going to twist and contort your
Right.
words. Yeah.
Right. Like wish to have $1 million, they're gonna give it to you in like ones.
Or that, or yeah, or
You know, like it's gonna be
they're gonna
so
bury you're gonna be buried
inconvenient.
in your money. Yeah, it's not gonna
Yeah.
just be your house, and now you're suffocating from your money.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
it's there's always like a twist that they're gonna twist it.
yeah.
I always think of that episode of do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
No,
Okay. So it's the
I've always wanted to
vampire
watch it.
comedy.
I'm familiar with it. I've always wanted to watch it, but
They do a little play on the gin,
okay.
and basically somebody asks a genie to have the largest penis for
Mm-hmm.
their wife.
Mm-hmm. For their wife. Oh
For their
no.
and then they have to, but then they're trying to get to all the possible like loopholes the genie could use. They're like, we want it to be the biggest, but it can't need its own cart. It can't be because mine can't be the largest because you made everybody else smaller. And that's exactly what I think how she sees a lot of this. It's
Yeah,
like you're gonna, but at the core of this, they're gonna be taken care of. So okay,
yeah,
they're gonna
and
have the bare minimum of what they need.
yes, away from that conversation, thinking, okay,
Yes,
they have something. They're taken
yes,
care of, whatever that means. They're not tortured or
right.
killed. They'll be living and they'll be okay.
And it becomes very apparent again to her that she needs to just eat because she still has yet to eat.
Still hasn't done it.
Yeah,
She doesn't want to
and
eat because she's afraid it's gonna do something to her.
yes, and that's when
Eating fairy food or something.
he lays that out to her. That finally, it's not drugged. It will be, you know. She's like, it's your fault if you faint. Like, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to trap you here. And
Because later on, this is not always the case.
no,
At least
no,
not for that for the drink anyway. As we'll
right. And
find out.
so immediately she's examining the food. She's sniffing for that smell, that metallic smell. So like we associated with it
It's magic, yeah.
of magic, and that is of a metallic
Smell.
smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tinge on her
A
nose.
tinge, yes. And then she goes ham.
Oh yeah. I love how they cut her off at the second chocolate torch. I think
Yes.
it was like,
Yeah.
damn, man, let the girl eat.
But I get it. You
Yeah,
have
yeah,
not eaten in so long
yeah.
that if I let you keep eating, whole meal is going to end up back up on this table, and I am
I'm
not.
not cleaning. I'm not.
He's like, I ain't dealing with that.
She finally gets a meal in her, and
Yep. Thanks him and stands to leave. We're having wine, like, and
mhm.
she's asleep. And so then again, we're talking. Lucian's change, and then he's asking him like, why did you not want to have dinner with us? Like, what is so unpleasant about us,
Does he mention how like attractive they are too?
dude?
Yes, the side. The is
The
it
side eye.
probably a feral side eye, I'm
A
guessing.
fair right. It's a long warning look. So I'm thinking it's a side eye
With uncat
with wolf
fur.
and yeah. And then Lucian's kind of asking her, let's have this conversation. You'd rather eat hot coals than sit here any longer than necessary. And this is when you see, like, he has his metal eye. And he goes, surely we're not so miserable to look at. And their arrogance, they're all fairies are vain and arrogant.
I mean, up to this point,
Yes.
they have not proven that wrong. I mean, with the lounging and the lackadaisical like behavior and just, you know,
Well, and
uh,
now they're curious about
yeah.
her.
Well, yes, now they're
Now we're getting the
questioning
thirst
her.
factors kind of going up because they go, unless you have someone back, there's a line of suitors out the door of your hovel that makes us seem like we're
What is about our hot bods that you don't like?
right. Yeah. And that's when she tells them about Isaac, how she was close to
Right.
him. And they ask,
Mm,
"Where are you in love with this guy?"
right.
And they're not, it wasn't a lie, but even if I felt anything like that for Isaac, my
I wouldn't
answer
have
would have
told
been
them.
the same.
Same,
It
yeah.
was bad enough that Hi Faye, no, my family existed. I didn't need that.
Yeah, at the time you're kind of like, well, this is really dumb questioning, but
Like you're
yeah,
wondering why. It makes
it's like, okay, is this shitty writing or there isn't any other way to set this up? And I don't know how you would like go about these questions, sly with a little more tact. Maybe then you could figure out a way to
great.
outright asking her these questions, like, "Do you fuck?" It's
Are you in
like,
love with this?
yeah, yeah, you right? Well, sure, whatever. I mean, but at the same time, she just got it. But they would just straight up just ask,
So I feel like as I'm more direct, go with like these guys at like a bare minimum.
right?
They're probably just like, there's no point in trying to like, or, not make like,
Yeah, like protect your chastity if that's,
right.
something
Like,
that's she's worried about. Like it's like, nah,
right. You're
just
running out the door. We finished the
yeah,
meal and you're trying to get out of here, but why? Because like, we're pretty handsome.
yeah, we're like you should stick around because like
Just to
after
look at
hours.
us. Like, you're welcome that I'm sitting here looking this good for you.
You're welcome.
Yes. That's exactly it's embracing. Is this just
So good. Love
you're
that
welcome.
character.
I know he's so good.
He had a tattoo of his mask
This
right
little,
there.
yeah, the little
Yeah,
fox.
fox
Yes,
mask.
that
Yeah.
would be really a good one because I do love Lucian. I love him so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's more just kind of back and forth. Basically, we're just trying to get to know you. Tamlin apologizes for how crass Lucian was. His
Don't.
pride gets in the way of his manners, is what he says.
Hmm. Let him, Tamlin. Just let him do it.
Yeah, just leave him alone, Tam. Uh, bro,
Quit being a Tam. Quit
yeah,
being a
right?
Tam.
Come on, Tam.
I wish you had told me that sooner. It would have made this book so much better.
No, this is good content.
It's also funny because like I had trouble like remembering his name in the beginning when I was talking to my wife. So I always be like,
Right.
yeah, I was just saying whatever. Like to there,
Mhm.
like
He
tamarind
doesn't
paste over
matter.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tampon.
Yeah, tampon don't
Um,
matter yet.
nope.
Um, yes, and
Yeah, okay,
this.
yeah,
So
sorry.
then she asked him why he didn't kill. He kills too often, and he just doesn't want to if
Forgot
he
about that
doesn't have
part.
to.
Is he wearing his what is it? What does she call it? Balliard? What's that?
Yeah, his Baldric,
Baldric,
Baldric.
which
Yeah.
I need to look up what that is because I think this might have been the first time I've heard that term, but it
I
sounds
have
like
a
it's a
I have an idea of it.
because it sounds just like I don't know how important it is, but it holds
It
knives. It's
well, it's
like
it's a very important part of his
a tire.
attire. Yeah, because
Yeah,
he's always
seemingly
um
always wearing it. Yeah, with
so Baldric.
one or more knives.
So it's a belt for a sword or other piece of equipment, one shoulder.
So it's kind of like a holster, like a holster for knives or something.
I'm gonna get us a share. Oh, there's one for sale for $253.
My cosplay is ready.
There it is. There's
I'm just gonna dress up on with a baldric on.
there you go. See the problem here.
Perfect.
So
Hopefully, I don't
that's our
have
Baldric.
Oh, that's a good one. That's
Uh-huh. Yeah. So this is what
okay.
we're
It's kind of that's what I figured. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so he always wears that. Like
Yeah.
it's a very important part of attire.
And yeah, I telling piece I think
Right.
as well a little bit.
Hmm.
And she's constantly mentioning like why he has these knives when he's
Yeah.
so ferocious and his claws alone could render me as my clothes asunder. I don't think she ever says that, but at some point she mentions her clothes being ripped off by his claws.
I
I don't
at some
remember.
point, it's not here yet. But
Yeah, okay,
but
right,
we
right. At
see
some
her.
point it might happen.
She's
Anyway.
because of that conversation that they have, that's that little interchange like exchange that is like had between them. She talks immediately about the faint warmth of blood blooming in her cheeks and neck. So
Oh, I forgot about that.
so she's coming
Wait, wait.
around.
So he mentions having killed a lot of people and she starts blushing. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, that's basically. She asks him, "Why are you being so generous? I kill too often as it is,
Mm.
and you're insignificant enough to not ruffle the estate. So unless
Oh.
you decide to start killing us, I'm not going to kill
Mm.
you. So
So
unless
maybe,
you attack us first, I'm not going to do anything, you know."
so maybe she's blushing out of like she's not like getting hot for him. Maybe it's more like
I don't know. It's a weird.
oh really? You think it's
I think it's a little bit that she's like, "Oh, okay.
like the power over me type of thing dynamic,
Yeah.
like
Oh
almost
yeah.
like a
Oh no,
okay.
I think it's she's realizing he's a little dominant
Mm-hmm.
and she's a little like there's a power disparity here just from like the fact that like he is high fae,
Yeah. And how
but
the power he wields. Like I if
yeah.
she talks I don't know how much more she can talk how about how big his power is.
Yeah.
Not
He's
power.
he's got big
It's
power.
passive. All that power, you know what I'm saying, right? Like
Yeah.
okay, Feyre, we got you.
Yep. And so
You're in love with his power.
yeah. And that's what so yeah, she goes a faint warmth, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like she's getting heated and angry
Yeah.
or is it a little I think it's a little both. I think
I,
I think she's absolutely angry because she then goes on like, oh yeah, I guess I am insignificant in their lives and with their I think there's a little happening here.
sure, and that's the beauty of that, right? Because
Mhm.
why not?
Right, it could be both.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's both.
I never thought of it like that, but now you mention it, like sure, yeah.
I mean, it could be there that it's like, oh, because we she has been extremely obsessed with like how broad shouldered he is, how
Yes.
attractive, like that has
It
been like
has not gone unnoticed
right,
how extremely
how
sexy this guy is.
right, and so then okay,
I kill
um,
all the time. I kill lots of people. I could kill
right,
you. Oh, oh.
oh oh yes sir.
I'm just gonna point out it's never worked like that for me. All right. But this is
At least
also
not that
true.
I'm aware of. I mean, you could be. I just
That's
don't know it.
besides the point. Look, all right. I'm hairy enough. Okay. Look,
I am the beast.
I'm merged together. We're one.
Right. Yep. And so then she, for his generosity, kind of
Lets her
dismisses
go.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it immediately, I also love that like they end this little section part of this like section of this chapter with Lucian has propped his child. Right. Like I'm just like, oh, okay.
Why not give that there's I don't understand.
I don't know.
Little just like little bits like that like dotting the book was just a great touch because like and that was and maybe we're not doing it justice, but like throughout these chapters when we hear about Lucian, it's always he's just oozing character. Um and and then there is a lot of dichotomy, a lot of change in him and his behavior. And sometimes like we first see him, he's very angry and upset and he's cynical, and then now next time he's still cynical, but even sarcastic. But like we see him like playing at what's going on and making fun and just being just generally an interesting character.
Oh, and it continues
Yeah.
because like this there's so much character like description here with Lucian in these just like 3 paragraphs because so he's doing that. He's sitting there with his half lazy smile.
Hmm.
She stands and decides she's going to back hallways, followed by a sharp and vicious growl that shuts him up.
And then
So he
yeah,
is
and then we'll
just
begin.
he
It
is dying.
finds it hilarious, and then
Uh-huh.
Pamelin's like,
He's like, stop it. But he's like, play nice, you know.
yeah. It's just, but then like, but Tamlin, like, give me something more with him. But
I know. He is just like this broody guy, like
yeah, I don't
very
know.
broody. And Tamlin is very much joyful and or Lucian is very joyful
Just
and like
fun.
fun and like laughing because it's ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
He's like,
Yes,
he's the most believable one, because
he
he's like
is.
in his mind it's just like you brought her here. I think at one point he's like What?
Yep.
She did this and you brought her to your estate, to your manor?
Yeah.
Dude, you lost it.
Right. Like, what's going on here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, she retreats to her room and spends her first night within the manor house. Then awaking, we then kind of have a little before we continue basically that she's awake before dawn and that it's really weird sleeping alone. Because normally her sisters are always there. She's
Yeah.
saying that she kind of missed some of that. So she's thinking about her family. A lot of internal and all of a sudden
There's like a
the door
clamor. Yeah.
opens. There's a screech and a thud, and I bolt upright to find that Alice is in a heap on the floor
That's right.
and caught poor Alice in it.
Oh, poor Alice.
I know I feel so bad for her.
Poor
But she's just
Alice.
like I could imagine this character just like laying in the heap on the floor going, "Oh, for fuck's
It's
sake."
like, why this?
I should not
Why
have
am I?
come to work this morning.
Yeah, yeah. I should have called in
Like,
sick. I should have just. Uh-huh.
and so yeah, so there's more like kind of she's settling into kind of a little bit of the life here. So
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
believe you wrecked the curtains to build your trap.
I like that part about Alice. She's like, of
Yeah.
all things, you like her embroidered with emeralds or I don't know, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's like beautiful curtains, and she's using
Yep.
ripping them apart to make a fucking trap.
Right. And but I also love that she's like, at least you're willing to fight. Like
Yeah,
I like your spunk, you
yeah.
know?
But she also says like that's useless. I'm pretty
Right.
sure
It's
she's like, yeah,
useless.
like
Yeah.
we're fairies. Like that, it's not gonna do a damn thing.
Do a damn thing. Yep, exactly. And so she finds out a little bit more. Let's see. There's conversation. It's just a lot of back and forth, like filling everything out. Where is this place? It's safe, because she's having breakfast in bed.
Right, and she does. Alice does mention that like you're safe here, but further out you are certainly not.
Yes. Yes. You will be safe here, but yeah, in other parts of Prithian you will not be as safe.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and so again, more just she gets dressed. Alice gets her dressed in another, tunic and everything, gets her hair done by Alice.
Tells her, is that when she does the braid? No,
Yeah.
that's or is that later? That is when she does the braid?
She does one, yeah.
Okay.
What does she say? Yeah, she finished my but I jumped from the bench where she could
But
weave in little flowers from the basket she'd brought.
I think I'm thinking of a later
You
chapter
might
where she
be, yeah.
okay. Yeah, okay.
But
I'll wait
she
on that.
definitely does, like,
Hmm.
spends time, like, doing her hair and kind of all of this stuff. And then now she's decided she's going to, again, plead her case to Tamlin because we didn't do enough of
Oh
that
my God.
the night before.
uh,
So there's more descriptions kind of about, like, the hallway, everything that she's seeing, and more contemplation.
mhm.
It's I don't feel like there's while it's important because it's all character building and stuff, I don't know that there's really any big things that happen kind of in these next like few, and then we get to where we do get some information.
Oh, I think like at the end of the chapter,
Yeah,
she
so
is.
she finds runs into Tamlin.
I will say the notes I'm looking at say that she's like venturing the manor, and
Yeah.
there's like a lot of paintings and stuff that
Hmm.
she's marveling at or starts to look at and just realize how beautiful the place is. But yeah, not really. Again, like you said, character building, not really
Yes,
learning
it's
anything
just
terribly important.
right until we run into Tamlin
Tamlin,
and start having this conversation about the treaty, how he's like, I'm not going to kill you. I don't break my promises. Kill but not harm. Is that the another loop? Like there's just this back and forth between her and Tamlin about the
right?
rules of entering each other's realms.
Which ultimately just boils down to what we
What
already
we already
know, and
kind of know.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's just basically
Except
just
for,
reinforcing. Yeah, there's one thing, but yeah, except for that, just
yes.
reinforcing that yes, she is
Yes. So
safe, and
we're,
that the scenario we are led to believe is
mhm,
actually the case, or well, for now anyway, she is
yes.
safe in this place. Um,
Exactly. And, she says, like, are we, do you want us to destroy the wall? And he's like, I have no interest in the mortal lands, though I can't speak for everybody.
right, right.
Um, and so they're a little bit back and forth, and then we find out about a little bit about the mask.
Yes.
There's a sickness in the lands across Prithian.
He uses the
It's been
term
there for
blight, I
almost,
think.
yes, he
Oh,
does.
you're reading directly. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but that's exactly it. He
Yeah.
says for almost 50 years, the blight spread slowly. It's made my Ajak act strangely. Um, as a result of a surge of that occurred at a masquerade 49 years ago, they can't remove their masks. So they've been stuck in these masks for nearly 50 years. They
Nearly
talk about,
50.
yeah, 40, yeah, 49 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, the blight is cruel like that. Either live as a beast or live with the mask, because the mask isn't there in his beast form.
Right. Yeah. And she's worried that this blight will somehow jump to
Well,
the.
she immediately says when he says blight, she immediately jumps to sickness and illness.
Right.
And so he has to be like, no, it's not like a plague. This
All right.
isn't a disease. It's focused solely on the magic, but yes, it will spread over the wall.
At some
There
point.
is a chance at some point of it affecting mortals in their territory.
And then as at this point, I don't know, does she talk about like her worry then about her family? I mean, obviously she does some to some extent, but
It's more just like we're getting more information about this. So he's
yeah.
telling her more that they've been able to progress its slow down its progression,
Yeah.
and that things are seem to be stabilizing. She brings up the mercenary and what the mercenary had shared
Oh
about
yeah. Let's go
like,
with that part.
yeah, believing that fairies might be thinking of attacking.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, well, do you talk to mercenaries often?
That's right.
And that's when
That's right.
she's just, I love her, their little back and forth. And he's like, he's sitting here going, well, do you always talk
At
to mercenaries?
least it's a regular thing for you.
Yeah, like, are you always out here trading stories? And her response to that is just that she'll talk to anybody who will give her useful information. Um, and yeah, so again, there's a little bit more. They bring up the tripwire that she had rigged.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he emphasizes to her that I might take an animal form, but I am very civilized. And yeah, she talks about seeing, more of his claws and beast stuff. And then they kind of part ways with the fact that I will see you at dinner now that she knows that there's some kind of blight, magical blight
Magical blight
going across
happening.
their land. Yeah, that
Yeah.
could cross the
Could cross
wall
the
and
wall,
affect.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
where we end chapter 7,
Yeah.
which I think is probably a good place to stop
Yeah, we've been going
for
for a
us.
while. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
We've
Yeah.
got a lot of information. There's been a lot of character development happening.
We've seen some more
Obviously.
characters. I
Yes.
really wanted to get to those scenes in the dining room, those first ones,
Yes.
because I think that I'm not gonna say terrible, but they're not great.
Right.
But they do introduce some interesting parts of the story, some really some characters. Lucian, obviously, we learn Tamlin's name, and it's
So
slow, but we're
it is.
getting some good information, and we're still getting some character development, and I think the book sorely needed. So,
Yes. No, because we're starting to see where she's going to be spending the rest of her life. I
mhm.
mean, as we know it, and who she's
Yeah.
going to be spending that time with. And so we have Lucian making his first appearance in these chapters. We finally know that the beast is a high fae man by the name of Tamlin. So we can stop referring to him as the Chimera.
Yeah, right. The kind of the yeah, Chimera
Yeah,
Beast.
yeah,
It-
right.
we also learned that he's the High Lord,
Yes.
which is
Mhm.
important. I don't even know how she knows who the High Lords are and stuff, but she has some idea of how the fairy world goes, I guess, and she's like super surprised. She's like, "Oh my God, he's the High Lord."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is yeah.
So that's kind of setting us up like who these people are. Um
And at this point, I'm like, okay, so, so me and um in my naive thinking, I'm like, okay, sex is probably gonna happen soon.
right.
Not really realizing
Oh, that
uh,
it's not gonna happen like at all for a long time.
I like because I'm not knowing what to expect. I'm like, don't they just like have sex all the time? Why is there no sex up to this
Right, there hasn't been any
point?
work. We're almost 8 chapters into this. We're
There's
about
no
to start the
sex.
eighth chapter, and there's a little lust.
Right. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
little thirsty.
Thirst meter is rising quickly, but
I don't know. I feel
yeah.
like it rises to a point, and I think this is about as thirsty as we're gonna get for a while.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
The descriptions of Tamlin do not stop.
No,
More
no,
importantly, the lack of descriptions for the other characters also
yeah,
continues. There is no descriptions of like how the other characters look for the most part, which I found really entertaining because it's like I don't it's just funny to me. It's just kind of like, all right, hey, this is how this guy looks. I'm gonna keep talking about him
right.
because you want them to have sex.
You
Like that
do. Like
that's
she's
yeah.
definitely leading you to wanting her to be with Tamlin.
Yes. And
Where
it's
at
like
this point, my romance brain is like, well, why choose?
why just one?
Why just one?
I'm ready for the I'm kind of ready for the Feyre Alice thing to start
Oh,
happening,
oh yeah, that could be interesting. I could, yeah.
Bath scene.
Oh,
It happened already. We missed it.
yeah.
They just didn't describe it.
It could have. That's
Missed
true.
opportunity. Missed opportunity.
Come
So
on, Sarah. What are you doing?
I'm gonna write some
Go
fanfic
write
real
some
quick.
fanfic.
Yeah. Uh,
So yeah, so who's at this point now? So we're gonna end it here. Who's your favorite character?
definitely Lucian.
Lucian.
Lucian, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Are you grow is Feyre at all growing on you?
she does definitely. I think she grows on me a little bit. She's definitely she has a lot of tenacity, which is I think always a fun characteristic for a main character. Um, and and yeah, I mean, as it continues and goes on, like we learn more about her, and I think yeah, she's her character's fine. I'll put it like that. Like it's middling. I,
Right.
I'm hopefully that's not trying to make a slight. She's just not a great character. I don't feel.
She's definitely not she's still very one-dimensional, I feel like at
Yeah,
this point. So yes,
yes,
hopefully we get more growth out of Feyre
yeah.
as everything continues.
And
Uh
more Lucian, please.
More Lucian, 100% more Lucian.
Lucian. You know what? Just
um
all Lucian all the time. That's
oh,
my
I
next
like it.
podcast. All Lucian all the
All Lucian
time.
all the time.
I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about, or I do know what we're going to talk
We know
about. Just
exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to go down. We're going to find all of the dirtiest, raunchiest
oh, yes.
fanfic about Lucian.
I could only imagine. Could only
That'll be
imagine.
great. That'll be fun.
I'm sure there's tons of
Oh gosh, yes.
Lucian
Oh, I'm
Tamerlan. So,
sure.
yeah,
I'm
okay.
sure.
I don't know. I'm
I
not
could
sure
see
where you.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know that I subscribe to that, but I also in the why
sorry.
choose scenario, I'm absolutely fine with this little triad occurring, you
That's
know?
that sounds fun. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I mean,
Sure.
Lucian loves them both. She loves both men. Both, I sounds like a mutually pleasing situation.
Yeah. Why is okay? There's some other comments I got. I can't wait to talk about, but
Okay.
unfortunately, we can't do it yet because it's
No,
too spoilery.
it's
Um,
true. It's true. So, all right. Well,
yeah.
so Ben, you want to wrap us up here then?
Yeah. Uh, I guess next week or next time we record, we'll do chapters 8,
Eight through at least
9,
10.
8
Yeah.
through 10, maybe more.
Maybe more.
And we can see. I'm actually gonna have to brush up on some of these. Oh, I don't know if that's coming through, but there's doors slamming and
Uh-oh.
footsteps coming, which means
Oh, I didn't hear any of it.
okay, good, yeah. So it's perfect time to wrap up.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to go over and read through some of these. There are some interesting parts coming up after as I'm looking at them
Yeah.
for next recording that getting into some lore and some creatures and stuff that I think will be fun. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward
I think
to
we're
talking
getting
about
to
some of
the
that.
fun
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, like the fun action. So we thank anybody for bearing with us through a lot of this info dump
Yep.
stuff and,
Keep
we're world
listening.
building right now,
Yeah. Feel free to Yeah, comment on videos.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All the
Um,
likes, all the comments.
mhm.
Let us know if you're reading along with us or if you're a seasoned reader.
Tell me how bad I am at this.
Right. No,
I
don't
don't.
tell us how bad we are at anything. Be
No,
nice,
no,
please.
no. Please be nice about the podcast. I'm talking about the books
Oh,
and
right.
how bad I am at the
Guessing
understanding this
at
stuff.
the
Yeah,
understanding,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm still very new to all this, but
It's a
learning
journey.
in time. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
All
Well,
right. Well,
thank you,
we will see
Amanda.
everybody. Thank you, Ben. We will
Mhm.
see everybody next week.